buenas and half a day to our listeners on Guam and in the CNMI. It's now time for Total Health right here on Joy FM Radio, where your questions get answered by health professionals. If you have any health-related questions, we would love to hear from you. Call your questions and comments in at 472-1111 or text or WhatsApp 686-9999. If you're in the CNMI, please call 323-1113. Welcome everybody to Total Health.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show today, and we have a wonderful topic for you. And the title is Rising Above, Overcoming Difficulties of Life. And I have my friend Shue Vang here, and he's going to share with us his story and how he's been able to overcome some difficulties in his life. So thanks for joining us, Shue.
Thanks, Shion, for having me, man.
Yeah, Shue and I go way back from California, and, he's been an inspiration in my life. And so we're going to share a little bit about how we met, and I know that's part of his story. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But hey, Shue, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I'm currently I'm 34 years old. I am a teacher at a local public high school called Edison High. I've been teaching here for 10 years, and it's what I do that's my career. That's what I do daily. But I would say that some of my hobbies and stuff are really to be out in nature with friends, and definitely to do a ministry and whatnot.
Nice. That's awesome. It's not easy being a teacher, is it?
This generation, it's different. The kids, they're very different these days. There's goods and bads to both situations and whatnot, but yeah, it definitely is not easy.
Yeah, I give you props, man, for being a teacher. So, something that maybe you could share to the listeners today. What are some of the things that you struggle with? Maybe you could share us that one thing that maybe has been your difficulty in your life.
Yeah, definitely. So, long story short, when I was a teenager, about my sophomore year in high school, I was diagnosed with a very rare form of disease. It's called limb-girdle muscular dystrophy. And so what the disease does is it basically eventually it degenerates your muscles in every part of your body. And so, as the years have gone on, I've lost the ability to walk, to run, to sit up, to sit down, just many things. My mobility has been very limited and whatnot. And I've been losing it throughout the years, and now I'm in a wheelchair. And one of the biggest difficulties that I've had to overcome is my loss of independence, not being able to do things on my own, waiting for others, asking for help. Those are some of the biggest things that I've had to overcome, and that I'm challenged with every day.
Yeah, it's not a tough thing and it's not easy to deal with those situations of health condition. And, when I first met you and heard your story, I was very touched because, I mean, your condition, it's not easy. You can't walk, you're on a wheelchair, but you were walking before, correct? Right? And
correct.
And you were active. I remember you were saying you like hiking and everything, but one day you just couldn't do those things anymore. Yeah. And so, that difficulty, where did that take you mentally?
So in my younger years, it definitely caused me to have a lot more anger, a lot more resentment in life. You could take any teenager, right? Tell them that, hey, you've done things normally for the past 15 years, and now you're going to be losing everything. That's pretty hard to take. I know when I was younger, it was, when my friends would go skiing or snowboarding, when my friends would go ice skating, I knew that I could no longer do those things. And so you feel left out. some things sometimes that we don't think about, like even going to the beach and walking on sand. Um, you can't really do that because, I mean, a wheelchair is not really sand accessible. And so you get left out on a lot of things. And it's not because people choose to leave you out or whatnot. It's just the nature of the beast, the nature of the disease. And so I think that was one of the toughest things where that was my new norm, not being able to do even the simplest things in life.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think about myself, putting myself in your situation and just thinking about all the things you were doing before and all suddenly you cannot do anymore. And, I mean, thinking about the mental place that I would be, I just think that it's a tough place. And many people experience this, right? A lot of us have health conditions, whether
Right.
that's not same as yours, even diabetes or heart disease, whatever it is, it does change our life forever when we get this
Yeah.
condition. But that's what we think, though, I think. I think we think it changes us forever, but
Right.
the truth is, I don't think it has to. And there's
Right.
some things that we can grow out of it to learn something from it. I think to me, your experience, and I know we're going to share a little bit more about your experience, but it really showed me that you grew from your difficulties and your challenges. And so I just want to ask you, what are some of your pivotal moments that, helped you to start, your journey of overcoming the difficulties in your life? Particularly, I guess, the muscular dystrophy.
No, absolutely. One of the pivotal moments I would say in my life was, still finding self-worth in who you are and what you can give. And, one of the moments that really helped define who I wanted to be and what I thought I was actually, during my marriage. Unfortunately, my ex-wife left, when things got really hard. And I think one of the most pivotal moments was at the very end, when I had surrendered everything to God. My marriage, I surrendered, the things that I still wanted in my life. I literally laid it down to God and said, hey, to others, I may not be worth anything, but I know to you I am. And so it was in those moments when I was actually, my ex-wife left and we got divorced, that I felt the most worth of my life. I felt God taking care of me. I felt that, I could offer something still in this world, especially to God. And those moments literally would pave the way for the rest of my story. Meeting F5 and the adventures and really going out there to inspire and encourage others.
Mm. It's interesting because, we just focus on one difficulty in life, but as we see one difficulty arise, other things arises. And
Right.
it's amazing that at those moments you were able to seek God and got comfort for God, and even to find security in Him in the midst of difficulties. And I would say that in my life, same way, I've relied on God in those moments, and
Right.
it helped me the most. It really grew me stronger in my faith and even find security in who I am. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, that's definitely a great way to really move forward from your difficulties in your life. And, so going to the story of how you and I met, because
Yeah.
that's a very profound story. And Shue and I met I don't know what year was that. I can't even remember. Do you remember what year that was, Shu?
Yeah, 2019.
2019. Okay. So 2019, we met because there's this fitness. He mentioned it a little bit earlier, but the F5 Challenge Ministry, and it's a fitness ministry. And we met actually through that organization. I was actually one of the directors for it. And Shu had a goal to get up on the mountain, to be able to go up on the top of the mountain, like how he used to do. And obviously it's a difficult thing for him because he's on a wheelchair. And so, our main director said, hey, we're going to take Shu all the way up to this place called Angel's Landing in Utah, Zion National Park. And when I first heard it, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But, hey, if God can do anything, anything's possible, right? So,
Right. Absolutely.
us F5 as a team, we actually, each one of us took turns and we carried Shu all the way to the top of Angel's Landing. And that place is not easy to walk on your own. There's cliffs on left and right, and you got to hold on to a chain to make sure you don't fall. So it's already hard for people that, they are walking and, they do experience anxiety, but imagine Shu being on people's back and to trust people and to take him all the way to the top of the mountain. And so, tell us a little bit about that story, Shu. Like, how did you feel? What was the experience like?
Yeah, when the leaders brought it up to me that they wanted to take me on, the biggest hike and stuff, I was skeptical. I've never done anything like this before. I looked at YouTube videos and I actually got scared because I'm like, man, how are they going to carry like a grown man up this mountain when it's, it's like drop offs and cliffs and chains and stuff. And so, I wasn't in the loop and I didn't really know. But I remember that Saturday after Sabbath, and we had a worship and then we had a small hike. After that hike, I was really moved. I got emotional, and for me, I realized like, hey man, these guys and girls can do it. F5 can do it. The way they work together, the way they're willing to help each other out. And so, on that day of that hike, when we went all the way up, I didn't realize it at the time. It was cold. You got your adrenaline going and pumping and whatnot. But, it was a very special moment for me. It was kind of, throughout all the years of my life, all the downs and all the defeats, all the struggles, all the obstacles. Angel's Landing was a pinnacle. It was, maybe people will know, it was like a core memory for me of finally, not just making it to the top, but, having a good group of strangers become like your friends, become like your family members. And so that was, I'm forever changed by it and forever blessed by that one experience.
Yeah. I like that you bring out the point of the people, the bond that happened during that time.
Yeah.
And, we're talking about how do you rise above difficult times. And you kind of talked about a little bit ago, but I know you went through divorce. And, that was probably, heartbroken moment in your life.
Right.
And it's hard when you feel alone. It's hard
Right.
when you feel you're abandoned or you're left or whatever it is. But the moment that you realize you're not alone, first of all, you mentioned about God. And so we're never alone with God. And then second of all, there are people that care about you. And sometimes it's about noticing that, the people that you already have in your life, and noticing that, wow, I do have people that care about me, support me, and
Absolutely.
Is helping me through these difficult times. And then there are people out there that if we just give people a chance or willing to get out there to get to know new people, that will meet people that are so passionate to help you, to be a brother, to be a sister, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and take you up all the way to the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, look at us. I feel like you and I, through that experience, we became really close, and
Yeah,
along with other
absolutely.
friends we have together. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, what are some of the valuable lessons that you feel like you've learned throughout all these experiences?
Definitely. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is, in those moments of loneliness, in those moments of maybe we feel isolated, maybe, things are just not going right in our lives. Like pausing and observing the things around you. For me, I don't have a lot of mobility, so I can't just, take a drive to the mountains and go hike. I can't take a walk. But there have been times where I literally just sat in my car, and maybe I was outside my house or at school, and I would just look around and I would see trees. I would see birds flying. I would hear the birds chirping. I would look at if there's flowers around, and just noticing those small things in life that you can look at and say, wow, God's taking care of these plants, these animals. And to remind yourself that, you are worth so much more, that even when you are physically alone, there is a God out there who cares, who understands, who sees you, and who's ever present. But it's reminding yourself every day that, hey, physically you may be alone, but you are never alone on this earth, because there's always, God's watching you, he's caring for you, and he will send people your way to help you and to comfort you and stuff. And yeah, I've had many testimonies, many stories where, I was literally alone and had to pray for help, and someone show up
Wow.
unexpectedly.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah,
God answers prayers.
absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the biggest lesson to learn, is that God is always there. Even if you feel lonely, he is there. And we just have to remember that. And it's amazing to hear that in those moments when you feel lonely, you still relied on him, and you still seeked out to him. And yeah, it's hard. This is a common thing, loneliness. This is a very common thing regards to even when we all go into difficulty in our lives. When I have patients that come and see me for counseling, for psychiatry, that's the number one thing that they complain is, I feel lonely. No one cares about me. I'm by myself. And I think that's the one of the top things that brings us even down where we're facing this challenge of our lives, is the loneliness part. And this is why I love the ministry of F5 Challenge and the project, or the mission we had to take you up to the top of the mountain. It really showed me actually what it means to work together, to help one another, to bring each other up. And this is what we need in life, is a group, a family, friends that are willing to be there, support each other the way God is actually there for us. Many people say, I can't see God, God's never there. I don't know what he's like. Well, sometimes we could see that through our friends, sometimes through our relationships. And, I really like one thing that you mentioned when we did that Zion National Park Angels Landing hike. You said that you felt like your experience, and I'm kind of paraphrasing what you said, but it was like Jesus carrying you to the top.
Yeah.
And, tell us a little bit about that comment that you made. Why did you say that?
Yeah. We had, maybe like over 30 people take turns carrying me. And so we went up a mountain, and for me, I could only imagine, like for me, not able to do it myself, but having all these people willing to take turns, carry me, willing to sacrifice, their bodies, willing to sacrifice, time and effort, because, of course it's going to be harder for people to get up the mountain if they have to carry somebody. And so it made me reflect upon, Jesus and the sacrifice he gave to humanity, and not just the sacrifice, but the journey he took. And, I just think that it was the loneliest journey for the whole universe to see. Jesus having to hike up Mount Calvary by himself, carrying his cross. Of course, we know in the Bible it says, like, physically his body could no longer endure it. So they had to get Simon to help carry the cross, another Simon to carry the cross for Jesus. And for me, that was a really gut wrench for me, realizing that, for me, I had random strangers and friends and people that were willing to carry me, yet, the God of the universe, the creator, he had, he had all these people who had proclaimed that he was Christ, and he had healed and stuff, many people, and yet not a single person was willing to help him carry him up to Mount Calvary. And so, it just made me think of, that Jesus felt the loneliness of humanity. He felt that the isolation. He felt God not being there, and it changes your mindsets, your outlook on who Jesus was and is. He really truly understood what it was like to be human, and went through each and every difficulty that we could imagine. And so that really, it was more for me eternally, but it just made me see Jesus in a different light, in an even more beautiful light than before.
Wow. I like what you just said there, is that Jesus knows, the difficulties that we go through. He knows, and he went through it. And he was alone too. He felt that loneliness. No one was willing to help him, to support him, but he still went forward. But there is one person that he always trusts in, his Heavenly Father, and that's where he found his strength to keep going. Well, you see Jesus here doing this for us, and what he was essentially doing at that time was actually carrying us, and so that we can be saved. And that difficulty, I had a honor to carry Shue at one point at Angel's Landing, and it is hard when you're not fit. And so I know all of us, we train hard to be ready for that day. And that moment of carrying you up, I was thinking, wow, I'm ready for this, and I've been training for this. But there was moments where, okay, I'm trying to take you up this step, but hey, it was a little bit hard, and another step, it was a little bit hard. And that's why we took turns. But man, we took turns. Jesus did all that by himself. And it's like you're saying, it's just crazy. It's like, wow, and he did this for me. And when you said that, this is the picture I had, exactly what we're talking about right now. This is how much what Jesus has done for me in my life. And the difficulties in our lives, it actually starts to really diminish, I feel like, when you could see this picture of what Jesus has done for us. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
Those are some of the, practical things that I do every day, every time, because my life is still a struggle every day. Every day it's still tough getting up from the bed, or, having to move slowly and make sure I not fall and get into the wheelchair and stuff. But I just, it's kind of like a pep talk.
Yeah.
I'm encouraging myself, kind of what David did, where it says he encouraged himself in the Lord. And so
Yeah.
for me, yeah, that's me praying while I'm trying to get up. That's me talking to myself, saying, asking God for, just a little bit more strength each and every day. And
Mm,
so,
yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. Just to be a little bit more practical, let's say if I have someone, let's say if I have someone that is maybe struggling to even get out of bed, to be motivated because of the difficulties they're going through. I know you talked about, you know, talking to God, but what are some of the practical things that you could give us to, if we're having hard time to get out of bed or finding motivation to keep going in life? What are some of the practical advice you have for us?
yeah. One, I was thinking, and one of the most practical things to do is not making a list of everything you have to do, right? But just doing one thing, literally one step at a time, one accomplishment. And so for someone who's having a hard time getting out of bed, I'm sure they have not showered or bathed in days. I'm sure they probably haven't even brushed their teeth or washed their face.
Hmm.
And so, I think to the story of when King David was fasting because his son was sick, and eventually his son died because of King David's sins. And while his son was still alive, David was fasting. And you probably could understand that he was stressed, he was depressed, he did not eat, he did not move or sleep. And when his son had passed away, first thing he did was he bathed. He took a bath, or however they washed themselves back in the days, and then he put on new clothes, and then he went to worship. And so for me, it's one single step. If someone's struggling to get out of bed, I would tell them, hey, today I want you to get out of bed and maybe brush your teeth, or maybe take a shower. Do something that will re-energize, revitalize you. I want someone to feel like human again and not feel like they are just down in the dumps, feel like they're just scraps. And so that would be one of my things to say, that, hey, it could just be as simple as today, you're going to get up and you're going to brush your teeth and you're going to feel clean. Or you're going to get up and take a shower and put on new clothes, feel good. So
Yeah, one step at a time, right? And
yeah, just one step.
Just making that move, just kind of moving.
Right.
And it's interesting you making this point because with your condition, you're talking about having hard time walking. You can't move, walk on your own, but
Yeah.
you're still making this point. We gotta keep moving, basically, keep going and getting up. And that's an encouraging thought. I believe that's coming from you, per se, with your difficulties. And I like to say that most of us may not have the condition you have, but we feel like we do. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we can't walk.
Yeah, for sure.
We can't move. We're too tired. I'm just done, but
Yeah.
but we just gotta do that one thing. Yeah, like you're saying, brush your teeth, take a shower.
Right.
And even just practicality. I mean, in science behind it, taking a shower, they're talking about even cold shower can help to increase some neurotransmitters in your brain, like serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine. And that definitely even already helps with your mental health. If you're feeling depressed, it can get your energy back up. And so, we just gotta choose one of those things and just kind of move forward and get going. Yeah. I like that. And, I'm sure that you've had people that, and we talked about the Angel's Landing and that event we had, but, after that, and when you're going through your difficulties in life, do you have some particular person or particular people that has been kind of your rock, like the one that's been pushing you and motivating you?
Yeah, absolutely. I have, my parents have always been very encouraging for me. Um, they at first, they didn't push me as much. They told me, hey, it's okay to settle down and not do so much. But now they're more like they're always pushing me. Where when I say, hey, I have to travel somewhere for ministry, they're like, hey, go, you should go. Whereas before they would have said stuff, and not to be mean or rude, but they would just say stuff like, hey, it's okay if you don't go. We know you're tired and stuff, just rest. But now, my mom and dad are both very encouraging, and they'll encourage me to, hey, you should go. I have good friends. One of our good friends, both, Johnny, he's like a brother to me. We do travel a lot together for ministry. And my sister Tara, of course, F5, the previous director, Calvin, we all kind of formed a bond where, we kind of have this mindset of, hey, we're going to, do as much as we can in this life to help others, to reach others. And so having that mindset of being, selfless and being more service, we all are willing to, travel to do ministry, go the extra mile with people. And so, yeah, I have a tight knit group of mostly F5ers, just people who are willing to give. And so
That's awesome.
I'm really, yeah.
And we all need that person to
Yeah.
push us and to motivate us. And
Absolutely.
I definitely have one in my life, my wife. Amber,
Hey.
whenever I feel like I'm going through difficulties in life, she pushes me saying, hey, well, sometimes it's not even a push. Sometimes she's like, hey, maybe you need to just relax, let's go get a massage together. Let's go surfing together. Let's go for a dive, or let's go for a walk on the beach. And it's really nice to have someone like that who,
Right.
when I don't feel like going out, when I feel like just staying in and just, just want to think about how life is miserable right now and all these things, that have someone to say, hey, let's go get some sunlight, fresh air, go to do some activity. So, yeah, we all need someone in our lives. And what would you say to someone that I'm just thinking about listeners right now. And what if someone says, I don't have someone like that? What would you say to them?
I would say that this may be contrary to what they believe, but I would say they should be someone who does that for others.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, even in my workplace, I work in a public school, and so, I don't bring up religion unless people ask me to, and unless they're really interested. But, in my group, I have science teachers, I have counselors, I have a lot of groups on campus that I'm very close to. And so, for me, anytime I get lunch for myself, I'll try to invite others to come, and I'll get lunch for them too. Anytime, if I'm throwing a Thanksgiving potluck in my class, I'll invite other teachers to come. And so I try to provide a space for them to feel wanted, to feel needed, to feel like they're cared for. When some of the F5 guys and I went fishing in Alaska, we caught a lot of fish. And so rather than eating them all by myself, I actually decided to give the fish to a lot of my coworkers. And, I gave them some encouraging books to let them know that, hey, man, just want to let you know that, if you need encouragement. And so it wasn't too long ago that actually two of my coworkers were on the brink of divorce, and they sought me out. They knew I prayed. they actually intentionally asked me to pray for them. And, all I did was encourage them. I encouraged them to pray,
Yeah.
to hold back their anger and whatnot, and to seek God, even if they didn't believe in God.
Yeah.
And so I can't say that that was the cure to their relationships, but I can say that I was able to be a friend, a brother in a time of need.
Okay.
And so, yeah, some of these relationships I've had at my school, these are very close friends of mine now. And so understanding that, a lot of people go through so many things. Mine is physical. Others have mental blocks or just any type of struggle that they may have that they have not shared.
Yeah.
And so by just being present, by being very caring of others, you open the doors to realize that there are other people who are just as, if not even more lonely or feel more defeated than you. And so you may be the reason they keep going, and they may be the reason you keep going. And so, yeah.
And those are the moments that probably end up making good friends. When you are reaching out to people, helping them, ministering to them, you guys probably become good friends.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's such a good point is, we could solve and say we don't have anyone like that. I'm just so lonely and Shue has wonderful friends. Yay, wonderful family.
Yeah.
Yay, but I don't. And you could keep thinking like that and get yourself down. But like what she was saying is if we actually intentionally say, hey, I want that kind of relationship with someone, then we need to be intentional too and to want to serve others and to be there for our friends and even strangers. And those are the moments that you'll find that group. Yeah. And I could
Absolutely.
I think that's what happened in my life. I know that I went through myself depression and anxiety and social anxiety. So it was hard for me to even have a relationship with people. And yeah, I'd had moments where I felt lonely. No one cares, and I just felt really alone. But when I took the stand to, hey, I'm gonna make friends. I'm gonna be there for people. And, I want that support, but maybe I could be that support for someone else. And when I reached out people and been there for people, I realized I made good friends. And those people actually ended up supporting me and helping me. And so that's my own experience too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a really great tip and wonderful way to, again, you said, that going back to that saying, like, just, brush your teeth or shower or whatever. Maybe it's about, hey, go talk to a stranger, go help a stranger, go be a help to someone else. And that could be the part of the practical, hey, moving forward from your difficulties in your life. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this moment of your life, where have all these, you've kind of shown us how you've grown mentally and how you've overcame any difficulties in your past. And so where have that taken you in your life? What are you doing? What have that inspired to do? What are some of your passion now?
Definitely. Yeah. So, right now I've been seeking just more opportunities to encourage others. So that could be speaking, which, I personally don't like to speak a lot. I like to serve in other forms, right? Whether it's visiting people and sitting with them and just talking with them, or one of the trips that F5 likes to do every year is to go to Holbrook and to spend time with a lot of natives a lot of these kids that are high school, middle school, and elementary, their their family situations, their housing situations are so poor and so beat down. And so literally just spending a whole weekend with the kids,
Mm.
laughing with them, eating with them, uh, playing with them, whether it's sports, whether it's on the playground,
Yeah.
things that oftentimes we don't think about. Those are the things that I've really grown to appreciate and to do,
Mm.
because we just don't know the impact we will have on other people's lives. And so I love to do that. I love to go and volunteer or minister to the needs of people. That's one of my favorite things to do. And yeah, just being available for others. I'm not part of any organization or whatnot, but just being available. If anyone ever asks, like, "Hey, we need another volunteer for this. Are you able to do it?" I'd love to.
Nice.
And so just really being available, helping out in any way I can, whether it's financially, whether it's volunteering, whatever it could be. That is my passion now.
Wow, that's awesome. And I'm guessing all these things you probably developed as you overcame your difficulties step by step. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm guessing, and you could tell me, but I'm guessing that you feel like your life is full of purpose and fulfillment, probably way more than before.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's because of the willingness that you're talking about to trust God, to move forward, to go out there and to serve people, to be there for people. Because again, often when we're depressed or going through difficult times financially, marriage, whatever it is, work situation, we tend to just stop. We tend to just say, I give up. And,
Right.
that looks like probably just sitting down on a couch and just watching a movie all day, watching TV all day, eating all day and just sitting there, not moving. And when you actually make this move to trust God and to go forward, it's endless possibilities. And
Absolutely.
It really takes you to a place in life where many doors open up for you. Like you're getting a lot of speaking appointments. You're reaching out probably more to your students with your experience, life experience, and how you overcame. You could share that more with, I'm guessing, with your students, and
Absolutely.
probably made you into a better teacher.
Yep.
And so there's so many things that can happen when we actually really move forward in faith. And so that's awesome that it really did change your life.
For sure.
So looking back into your life, what is like the main positive change that has happened?
This one was, as I'm thinking about your question, I'm thinking about what are my priorities, what are my goals, what are my thoughts. And I think the greatest positive change that happened in my life was understanding that the struggles I go through, the things the obstacles I have to overcome every day, it's finite. There's going to be an end to it. And so for me, I live my life each and every day with purpose. I live it like it will be my last. So because of that mentality, I'll be, by the grace of God, I'm more graceful and gracious to others.
Wow.
I'm more thankful.
Wow.
More willing to give, more willing to sit down and not rush people or not rush myself.
Yes.
Just seeing that, hey, you know what, if I were to leave or if I were to die today, you know, would I leave on such a good note, not just for myself, but for my family, for my students, for my daughter, for all my friends and my family members and stuff. So that is what has changed in me from before, where I was constantly planning, you know, this is what I want 10 years and having all these earthly goals. And now my main goal is, hey, you know, I want to just make sure people experience joy and laughter when they're in my presence, and to experience peace.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. It really changed your view in life.
Yeah.
That's a positive change you had. Yeah.
Oh, amen.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, just to give a little bit more of detail about what happened after the Angel's Landing and we took you to top of the mountain, you know, tell us a little bit what other activities you've been up to after that.
You know, we've done a couple of good things. We've climbed El Capitan, which was actually probably the most scary adventure we've done. But yeah, climbing that and being on someone's back and being harnessed to them.
And they rock climbed,
after
right?
that, yeah, rock climbed on El Cap. And after doing that, you know, like the fear of death is not even as fearful to me anymore.
Wow.
Because it was just so scary. And I'm like, man, like it just made me feel like I could overcome, you know, all things, no matter how hard it was, just being on that rock and seeing the height and understanding that at any moment I could possibly die, but making it up and down. I just, so we've done that. We've done skydiving. We've done, you know, a half marathon. I haven't done a marathon yet. That's still in the works someday. But yeah, you know, we've done just many adventures, and not just adventures, but more stories to help encourage others who may be feeling like, hey, you know, I can't, you know, maybe I've never hiked before. Maybe I'm just a couch potato. To really encourage them to, you know, come out. And it just takes one step at a time. Like just first step of being able to get out from your seat or from your bed and maybe just coming out to nature, driving out there, just making it out. Yeah. So that's, you know, that's F5's goal, to really get others to want to come out and exercise and feel good. It's all about the community. So
yeah, that's awesome. You're an inspiration, Shue. That's
amen, man.
You know, I love the life that you live, and I just really like how you're willing to share your story to everyone and to be an inspiration. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing us with your incredible journey and your insights for us today. And, you know, I hope that listeners, you were inspired and that you will also learn how to be resilient and to rise above your difficulties in life. You can overcome it. Yeah. And Shue is the evidence for that. And so I want to encourage you guys to keep tuning in to this show and to find encouragement in life, and especially through God.
Be sure to check with your doctors before making any sudden life changes discussed today. Total Health is brought to you in partnership with Guam Seventh-day Adventist Clinic, where health is their mission. We look forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Thank you and si Juas Masi for listening to Total Health right here on Joy FM.